Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Another edition of Sev Geff Live. Paul Severino and Glenn Geffner with you. We've got Jon Berti coming up in just a couple of minutes. Geff, how you doing, pal? Good to talk with you again.
Good to be back with you. Show number 12 today. Another great guest. We were debating, who do we have on today? Do we want to go with a little bit of speed, a little bit of power? Do we want to go with a new face, a face we know a little bit? We want to go with an infielder. We want to go with an outfielder. And we decided, yes, we'll go with all of the above. Bring Jon Berti on today, and we'll talk about the value of versatility, among many other things, as we talk some baseball here for the next few minutes.
That's right. I just hope that he can cook, or he's got some sort of secret skill, because we had J.J. Bleday was a couple of guests ago, and he was doing some cooking. We had Joe Frisaro on Friday. He was doing some cooking, so hopefully Jon Berti can cook. He can cook us.
I leave the show hungry every time we do it.
Right, I know, and it's not helping because I'm already at the fridge every 45 minutes every night anyway. All right, couple of things here. Of course, you can go to the YouTube channel and see all of our shows, but there's also, I tweeted out yesterday, a reward now. Not just our adoration, but an actual reward, a tangible reward for those of you that tune in to Sev Geff Live. You can earn Marlins home run rewards and points by tuning into this particular program. Use the code 2020. So visit marlins.com/rewards, sign up, get rewarded, and all you have to do is sit and listen to us babble. But if you watch Marlins games, listen to Marlins games, you do that already. So, there's that. And hopefully, we are a day closer to baseball. We shall see. Geff, we do have a question of the day, as we always do. What do you have for us?
Well, they're playing baseball in Korea as of the overnight hours in our part of the world. So I threw the question out with the games being televised. Now, a game, I think 6 days a week on ESPN or ESPN2 in the middle of the night at 1 a.m., 4 a.m., or at 5:30 in the morning. We're all desperate for baseball, so I asked, how likely are you to watch some of these Korean baseball games that are going to be on in the wee hours of the morning? I threw out three options. I'll be there a lot, I might check it out, or thanks but no thanks. And so far, thanks but no thanks is the leading vote getter, surprisingly. 43% have said thanks but no thanks. 41% say I might check it out. 16% say I'll be there a lot. I know some were there overnight. Had a couple of former Marlins, Odrismer Despaigne and Dan Straley, starting against each other, one of the Korean Baseball Organization opening day games. So you can go to my Twitter account, @GlennGeffner, and cast your vote, and maybe we'll see you in the middle of the night watching Korean baseball.
That's right.
I was not there last night, I have to say.
I was not either. I broadcast games from Go Chuck Sky Dome during the WBC back in 2017, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be sitting there watching. I wonder if Jon Berti is going to watch. He joins us right now. Jon Berti, how are you, pal? Good to talk with you, man.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Are you staying up late? Are you watching these games?
I did not last night, but I've thought about it. Playing against some of the guys that are over there. I know Warwick Supple threw a complete game shutout. I played against him quite a bit in the minor leagues, and we share an agent, so maybe his next start I'll tune in. But yeah, I mean, got to get that baseball fix somehow.
That's right, and that's why we've been doing the show. So again, we appreciate it. What are you doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, to kind of stay busy as we all wait for whenever spring and then opening day will be?
Yeah, trying to keep my routine as close to the off season as normal. Working out 4 or 5 days a week. Got a little makeshift home gym in the basement that has enough to get the job done, and then hitting at a couple different local facilities that I'm able to. One's an outdoor cage where we can practice the social distancing and stuff like that, and then another indoor facility where I go in by myself or with my dad, just the two of us, kind of old school, and get our workouts that way. And other than that, now that the weather's getting nicer out, doing some yard work, maybe play some video games, just doing what we can to stay busy and kind of stay ready.
We'll get into the long journey you took to get to the major leagues, but with the road you traveled and finally breaking through and getting that first extended shot at the major leagues last year, coming into spring training this year, you had the whole world in front of you. And I have to imagine being 2 weeks out from opening day, especially for you as much as anybody, had to be a real kick in the stomach to see things shut down the way they were.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hugely disappointing for all of us, but like you said, to have that journey that I had where it took me, till I was 28 to get to the big leagues, 29 for my first shot, and really, at the age of 30 now, ready to compete and make the opening day roster and try to help this team win from day one. Very disappointing, obviously, but hopefully we can kind of get through this together and, get back to playing baseball as soon as possible.
You will not be graded on this response. It's just an individual opinion. But for you, how long do you think a good spring training would be? Now that you've got to start back up again.
Honestly, 2 or 3 weeks. I think for hitters, that's usually kind of what we need. I think spring training a lot of times is as long as it is for a lot of times for pitchers to get their arms in shape. Obviously, depending on each pitcher's individual needs or what they're able to get done right now, that's going to be a big question going into, the spring training 2.0 of how long they need to get their arms back ramped up, because the last thing we want to do is get back and have a bunch of guys get hurt and stuff like that. But I feel like if we have 2 or 3 weeks of good hard work, I think that should be plenty for most guys, and as long as they're able to do what they can to stay in shape now.
Is it a matter of just getting the timing back, just seeing live pitching again, then you're good to go?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part, is just getting comfortable in the box again, which, again, is the disappointing part, because we were getting through 2 weeks left. That was the time where we were all really starting to feel comfortable in the box again, kind of knocking the rust off and being ready to go. And then all of a sudden, right when we feel like we're turning that corner, ready for the long season, it kind of got taken away. But obviously that's out of our control. So I think, the biggest thing is that rhythm and timing in the box again, and 2 or 3 weeks of at-bats hopefully will get us prepared for it.
And in terms of intensity when you're training, I don't know what your particular routine is, but maybe you take October off, you get going a little after Thanksgiving, something like that. But that on February 10th or 14th or whatever it is, okay, that's when I've got to be in better baseball shape, and we know that by March 26th is opening day, and I've got to be on that sort of marathon sort of shape. But now when we don't really know when you need to be ready on what particular day, I mean, are you like a marathon runner that you have to peak at a certain time, or are you just keeping things as is, I guess?
I'm trying at the moment to keep my off-season, like you said, you want to kind of ramp that up and build that up, but it's tough when we don't have a definite time frame. So I'm trying to, with each week or each 2 weeks, kind of add to what I'm doing and kind of build it up as much as I can without trying to overdo it or overextend myself, because if I burn myself out now, or we don't get back to playing till June or July or whenever, I don't want that to be an issue either. But at the same token, you don't want to take it too slow, and then all of a sudden come spring training time, you feel like you're behind. So just trying my best to continue to ramp up the activity as we go, and hopefully my hope is by June or July we can get some sort of baseball going, but obviously that's out of our hands.
Are you doing the same thing we're doing, just reading Twitter and watching Sports Center and MLB Network, trying to figure out what's going on, or are you in communication with teammates? Does the union reach out to you? How are you getting your information?
I was trying to keep up a little bit with just reading and ESPN and stuff like that, but there are so many rumors going on and so many different things that might happen where it just honestly just started getting too much of a distraction for me, that until I hear a definite word from Major League Baseball or the Players Association about what's going to happen, I'm just going to continue to kind of have it business as usual and try to prepare my body and keep my body in shape as best I can, so that when that spring training comes around, we can kind of hit the ground running and turn it more into a sprint of a season, really, if we're only going to potentially play, let's say, 81 to 100 games, hopefully, so that's more of a sprint than a 162 game marathon that we've kind of been used to playing.
You mentioned sprint. I can't count on two hands many guys that are faster than you. Where did it all come from, your athleticism, other than baseball, of course, which you excel at now? Did you play other sports growing up?
Yeah, I actually grew up playing hockey, and that was my other main sport. Those two sports I've been playing since I was real young, and I was really good at both of them. But surprisingly, most people don't realize either, I was actually a goalie.
Really?
Growing up, an ice hockey goalie, yeah. So
with all that speed, you're stuck in the crease? I don't get it. I
would equate, some of that quickness that I have is from being a goalie,
okay.
Up and down, side to side, stuff like that. But I have to give my two older brothers, credit for me being a goalie, because they'd be playing street hockey when we were younger, and they'd be playing one-on-one, and if the, baby boy wanted to play with them, I had to get in net. So that's where it kind of started and kind of went from there. But I was always quick and decently fast, but it didn't really kind of take hold until going into my senior year in high school. That off season before that fall, I took I quit playing hockey. I decided that baseball wanted to be my future, and so I really was able to get into the gym and train a little bit more than I had been able to, and kind of grew a little bit. And that's when my senior year in high school, where I started to kind of separate myself speed-wise from a lot of guys.
You still live in the Detroit area. You grew up outside of Detroit. Great hockey town, obviously. Great baseball town, obviously.
It is hockey town. It is hockey town.
That's right. It is a self-proclaimed hockey town. But it's a great baseball town as well. And in the 90s, some great seasons for the Tigers. What was it like growing up as a hockey fan, as a baseball fan in Detroit in those days?
Oh, it was great, especially hockey. I mean, I was spoiled. I saw the Wings win 4 Stanley Cups, and I used to go to 4 or 5 Wings games throughout the year growing up with my parents or my brothers, and going to Joe Louis Arena. Before now they have beautiful Little Caesars Arena, but going to Joe Louis Arena was awesome just because of the atmosphere. You pack 20,000 into such a small place, and they were so good, and it was just so fun to watch. And then I do have memories going to Tiger Stadium before the Tigers moved to Comerica, I believe in 2000 or 2001, and then going to Comerica, and they had some good teams, especially when I was in high school, going to the World Series a couple different times. So yeah, I mean, Detroit's a great sports city, so that's kind of part of the reason why I grew up loving sports the way I have.
Now, broadcaster question for you. Did you grow up listening to Ernie Harwell? Do you remember listening to Ernie?
Absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely. He was one of the best, and actually with everything going on now, a lot of different networks are playing old games and old-time games, and they played Tigers won the World Series back in '84. When was it? Yeah, they won it in '84, but I actually watched the last game that was televised at Tiger Stadium, which was in 1999, and he was on the broadcast, so it was pretty cool to listen to his voice again, and kind of brought back some memories.
Yeah, that's old-time baseball. Are you, that sound at least,
yeah.
Are you a Pistons fan too? I need to know for our hit and run segment later.
Honestly, I'm not a huge NBA guy. I grew up, I liked the Pistons growing up. When I was in high school, they won the NBA championship with kind of that really good defensive unit that they had. And
some people call it defense. Billups. Michael Jordan calls it something else.
Well, that was yeah. The Bad Boys was a little bit before me, but with Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, those guys. So I like that. I liked Kobe just because I was a Kobe fan, and so I like the Lakers a little bit. But I'll watch when there's good NBA going on. I'll watch it and enjoy it. But I can't say I'm a huge Pistons fan.
Okay, I'll still ask you the question later. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
But that's for later. Get back to you as a youth. You talked about you and your dad working out now in this time. He played a few years actually in the Tigers organization. So how old were you when that was going on? Were you around at that point in time, or what kind of stories did he tell you?
That was before my time. He played in A-ball with the Lakeland Tigers for about 3 years back in the late 70s. Played with Kirk Gibson for a year, Mark the Bird Fidrich. His manager was Jim Leland, actually. And so I actually have a pretty good Jim Leland story. I was playing a couple years ago in AA at the time in the Blue Jay system, and we were playing against the Tigers AA team, and Jim Leland was there in town. He was still working for the Tigers, and I ran into him and just came up to him and just said, "Hey, Mr. Leland, just have to introduce myself. You probably won't remember, but my name is Jon Berti." And as soon as I said that, he stopped me and said, "Tom Berti." And I said, "Yep, that was my dad." He said, "Little shortstop, second baseman, played for me in the down in Lakeland." And I said, "I don't know how you remember that, but yep, that's absolutely true." And my parents were actually at that game, so I told him, and he said, let him know where I am. I would love to talk to him. And he talked to my dad for 20, 30 minutes, and it's pretty cool. Of all the players he had managed over his entire career, that was probably one of the first few years of him managing back in the late 70s, and for him to remember my dad and be genuinely excited to see him and talk to him was pretty cool.
Jim Leland name is a big name in Marlins history.
Yes,
he won the World Series in Miami in 1997. What about Mark Fidrich? You mentioned Fidrich. Was he Mark the Bird at that time? Did your dad have any Mark Fidrich stories?
He said he was a really good guy, and kind of not as maybe out there as it was when he got to the big leagues and stuff like that. But I feel like he described him more as kind of quiet a little bit and kind of kept to himself. But Obviously, he had that personality when he was out there pitching, which was really, really cool to see. Obviously, I didn't get to see him live, but just to see some old games and stuff like that.
All right, so Dad played pro ball. You're obviously in the big leagues right now. Where did the brothers end up? Did they go into professional sports in some form or fashion?
They played some high school sports, some baseball. My one brother was a pretty good hockey player too, but nothing beyond the high school level. I do have another uncle though, my mom's brother. So I kind of have it on both sides of the family. My uncle Danny Schmitz, he played about 7 or 8 years in AAA with the Yankees back in the late 70s, early 80s. And actually, he was my college baseball coach, and he still is the head coach at Bowling Green State University. So kind of got the bloodlines of both sides of being, baseball in the family. So that's kind of why baseball was my first love.
What did you learn from Dad? What are the lessons along the way that he passed that were most important to you?
Never a lot. There's quite a few things, but the first couple that stick out is never too high, never too low. You're never as good as you think you are. You're never as bad as you think you are. So being able to keep that mindset, that attitude, where you have the confidence in your ability, but you're also willing to continue to work to get better and not think that you've reached some sort of Mount Everest type situation. And the other one, let me see if I can clean it up. If what you did yesterday still looks good, you haven't done anything today. Mm-hmm. So that was another one. I think he might have got that one from Leland actually, but that was another one where again it's great to look back a little bit and enjoy what you have done, but if it still looks really, really good, then you probably haven't done much today, so you got to get to work.
I like those. So Bowling Green, you were there. Mm-hmm. You had the family connection. Coming out of high school, what kind of high school player were you? Did you have a lot of different choices, or was Bowling Green kind of not the one?
So actually, just the way high school baseball works, at least in Michigan, early signing period is in November of your senior year. So it's before your senior season. So up until my junior year, I was a good player, and I had some D1 looks from Bowling Green. Obviously, got a scholarship offer from them. Central Michigan, a couple other schools were looking at me. The University of Michigan wanted me to go there as a preferred walk-on, which is I really did want to go to Michigan, but I wanted a scholarship. I didn't want to have to take on any kind of student loans. So took the scholarship offer from Bowling Green, and then that off season is when I really started to put some work in the weight room and gave up hockey and was able to focus only on baseball. And that's when I really, really excelled. Had a really, really good senior year where I got drafted by the Oakland A's in the 36th round. So I might have had some different options if I was able to play my senior year. But with that being said, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so happy with my experience at Bowling Green, with being able to play for my uncle, being able to. Some of my closest friends are still guys that I played with back in college. So it was meant to be, and it worked out well for me.
You had a heck of a run at Bowling Green, one of the great careers ever in that program for 3 years.
Yeah, it was fun. Obviously, like I said, playing with that group of guys was a lot of fun. We had some really good teams my first couple of years, winning the conference, a regular season, and winning a division championship after that. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time there and being able to kind of get my first taste of what baseball was like at the next level. It was a great experience for me.
Another stop on the journey was, we were talking about Korean baseball earlier, was a little bit south of that. You spent 2013 in the Australia Baseball League. That is not, it's not always a popular destination. A lot of times we hear about winter ball and whatnot, but how'd you end up in Australia?
Yeah. So it was the year after the 2013 season. I was in High A in Dunedin with the Blue Jays, and finished the year, had a good year, and front office just kind of asked me, would you want to go play winter ball in Australia? They had a hookup with a team out there in the Canberra Cavalry, where they sent 4 guys a year at the time, and want to know if I wanted to be one of the 4. And being a single young guy at the time, and got a chance to get paid to go play in Australia and vacation in Australia. So sounded great to me at the time, and it was a lot of fun. So I always recommend, if anyone's ever able to get a chance to go out there and visit, it's beautiful. They have great beaches. The Australian people, for the most part, seems like they love American people and American lifestyle and American culture. So they're very welcoming, and we had a lot of fun out there. So.
I wouldn't.
You had mentioned.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No, mine was going to be stupid. I was going to say I wouldn't be a journalist if I didn't ask this question. But do the toilets actually flush the other way? See, Geff, you should have just gone.
Actually,
I should have gone.
I don't know why you
saved you.
Yeah, really.
So
Come on.
I grew up a big Simpsons fan when I was younger, and that was one of the episodes was about that. But all the toilets there kind of they didn't spin; they kind of just sucked inward. So I didn't really get a chance. So I don't know. I never got conclusive evidence of it.
To send Paul back there.
Right, yeah.
There you go.
So you go from a 36th round draft pick by the A's out of high school to an 18th round pick after a great career at Bowling Green. You get into pro ball, and you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself coming out of college. Do you feel as though, okay, now I'm in the minor leagues, and I'm just going to zip through here and then work my way up, put in the time, put in the work, and find myself in the big leagues here in a few years?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the goal, right? To get to the big leagues as soon as possible. But early in my career, especially, I was just so grateful I thought it was just so much fun at the time, and I still do, obviously, but just being new of being able to play baseball without having to go to class. And I love school, don't get me wrong, but you're just telling me my sole job right now is just to play baseball. And so that's what I was most excited about, and really excited that 10 years later I'm still in the game. So yeah, obviously I would have loved to get to the big leagues at the age of 24 or 25. But, some different things happened throughout my career, some setbacks, some obstacles that were unforeseen, but, it all worked out, and got to make my dream come true still.
How many times, almost 800 minor league games, how many 0 for 10s that you went through and long overnight bus trips and everything, how many times did you say to yourself, you know what, this sucks, I'm not doing it anymore, it's not going to happen for me? How many times that happened?
There was only a few moments where I thought my career might be over, but what I kept telling myself is, if you have a jersey, you have an opportunity. So until they won't give me a jersey anymore, until there's not that opportunity anymore, I'm just going to keep going, because my first goal was the age of 25, and I thought if I was at the age of 25 and I wasn't in the big leagues or close to the big leagues, then maybe at that point I should look somewhere else. But I was 25 years old in AAA, so at that point my thought process was, you're in the upper side of the minor leagues. If you have a jersey, you have an opportunity. So until that was taken away from me, I wasn't going to give up on it.
The 2018 season, you talk about journeys over the the long course of your minor league career. 2018, it was interesting. So AAA with Toronto, 4 games. Then you go to Cleveland's AA, you play 25 games. Then you go back to Toronto's organization in the AA. And then by the end of the year, you make your big league debut, get a hit in your first game, and finish the year with a 4-game hit streak in your first taste of the major leagues. Walk me through what 2018 was like.
Well, 2017 didn't end very well. I had a concussion. I was in big league camp with the Blue Jays in 2017. I had a really good camp, kind of re-put my name on the map with them. Unfortunately, at the very end of camp, I suffered a concussion. So I missed the first half of 2017. When I came back for the second half of 2017, I just didn't play well. And that was the last year on my minor league contract. So I was going in as a minor league free agent, not coming off a good year. It was very tough to get a job. The Blue Jays fortunately offered me a job going into the 2018 year, but I think their thought might have been thinking they might release me after camp. And just because I had been with them so long, they just wanted to give me an opportunity. And 2018, I had a phenomenal spring training, so good that they couldn't release me. And so then started the year in AAA, played only a few games, like you said, and then they were going to make a move to they basically said they ran out of room. They didn't have enough room for me anymore, so they thought they would trade me to Cleveland, where there was supposed to be more room and more opportunity to play, but I ended up only playing 20-something games, like you said, over a 2-month period. So that was one of the points where I was like, man, if I'm not able to go somewhere and play and put kind of a resume together, no one's going to sign me at the end of this year, going 2 years without playing much and being 28 and a minor league free agent with no big league time. So that was a little concerning, but fortunately I got traded back to the Blue Jays. but they basically said, hey, you can go to AAA and sit on the bench, or you can go to AA and play. And I was just like, you know what, I just need to play. So it was a blessing to be able to go back to AA and play for actually who was my first pro ball manager, and John Schneider, who's now one of the big league coaches for the last few years with the Blue Jays. And I got to play alongside Bichette, Cavan, Biggio, Vlad Jr., really, really, really talented team, obviously. And got to work with hitting coach, one of my favorite hitting coaches. His name's Hunter Mentz. He's now the minor league coordinator for the Blue Jays. But anyways, worked on some different things with my swing, got a lot of my confidence back, and played really, really well. And with that group, we were able to win the AA Eastern League Championship. And kind of thought at that point, it was around September the 15th, that I might get called up for the last few weeks. I had played that well, but didn't get the call right away. Went home for about 10 days or so, and then got the call at that point to finish out the last 5 days, 4 games, and got an opportunity and just ran with it.
Nobody ever forgets when they get that word that they're going to the big leagues for the first time. Usually it's you're getting pulled out of a game in the middle of a game in AAA, or the manager calls you in, they play a practical joke on you. But your situation is very unique. You were actually home, your season was over, and you get that phone call. How hard is it to process that at that point, where you've probably, in a sense, shut it down mentally and physically a little bit?
Yeah, especially after the first few days of being at home, I thought maybe there still might be a chance something might happen, and then obviously that didn't. And so when I got the call, it was obviously very exciting, a little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it was kind of like, in my mind, it was, I made it. I was hoping John Gibbons, our manager at the time, would get me in a game somehow, pinch hit, pinch run, something. And I was actually on the way to the stadium, and I got a text message from John Schneider, and he said, hey, how close are you to the field? And I said, I'm pulling up 5 minutes away. Like, what's up? He's like, just wanted to make sure you were in the area. They wanted to make sure you're in the area because they're about to post the lineup. You're hitting ninth, playing second. And I was like, well, I made it. Instead of being, overly nervous or whatever, it kind of just lifted any kind of pressure off me, because I could have went 0 for 4 strikeouts, made 4 errors, and I made it to the big leagues, So at least at the end of the day, I could have said that one day in the big leagues could have been all worth the journey. And fortunately, I played well and played well enough to have Gibby start me the rest of the way, and kind of set me up to go into the 2019 season, where I was able to sign with the Marlins and put myself in an opportunity to compete for a job.
You mentioned playing with 3 mega prospects in New Hampshire and helping that team win a championship: Cavan, Biggio, Bichette, and Vlad, Guerrero Jr. You got these 3 mega stars coming up. The Jays, in many respects, are in a similar position as the Marlins, with a lot of young talent. Theirs has maybe gotten to the big leagues a little bit quicker than Miami's has right now. But were you almost a little bit of a leader on that team at AA? Did you take those younger mega superstar prospect guys under your wing at all?
Yeah, I mean, I tried my best, especially being 28 years old back in AA, to try to, lead by example. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why the Blue Jays were excited to send me there and to be kind of around those guys and stuff like that. But at the same time, those guys in that group were such good professionals at such a young age, which I was impressed by, that their maturity level and all that, where you could see that they're knocking on the door at the big leagues, and the talent's obviously there, but if that maturity level isn't there, you see guys not kind of have the success that you would expect them to have. So bunch of great guys, and wish them all the best. So
take me back to that first day. I'm trying to think of what that would be like, right? You're trying to contain the emotions of my, first big league call up, and now I'm getting my first big league start, and there's actually somebody on the mound that I need to prepare for. What was that preparation like, those first couple of at bats for you before? Because at what point did you get your first hit in that game?
It was my third and final at bat of the night.
Okay, so you had a few little walks. Okay, there you go.
It was quite crazy too, because my flight didn't land in Toronto until probably about noon. I didn't get to the stadium until about 12:30-ish, and it was a 4 o'clock game. So it wasn't even a 7 o'clock game where I could go through a normal routine. So kind of got changed, said what's up to all the guys, because majority of those guys in that clubhouse I had played with in the minor leagues or in spring training or whatever. And kind of got ready, went out, took a quick round of BP on the field, took some ground balls just to try to get acclimated as best I could. And then from there was kind of just my body went numb. And so that very first at bat, I just, a couple of guys were just telling me, hey, man, be aggressive your first at bat. See something you like, take a good swing. Fortunately, I got a good pitch to hit, and I hit a bullet right at the center fielder. Probably one of the harder balls I hit in my entire career, but lined out. But from that point, it kind of was able to say, okay, I can do this. So second at bat worked a pretty good at bat, ended up striking out. But that third and final at bat, got my first pitch fastball kind of in the heart of the plate and hit a line drive up the middle. So luckily it wasn't caught.
As much as your head has to be spinning and your mind is racing, is there some point that day, whether you're on the airplane or in the back seat of the cab or walking into the ballpark, where it dawns on you that this long journey that you've been on and all the work and all the time and all the blood, sweat, and tears has led you to this moment you're finally here?
I think the cool part about it too was it was a Wednesday that we were in Toronto. Thursday was actually an off day, but we spent the off day in Tampa, and we played Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Tampa to end the year. So it was really cool on my first big league flight to kind of sit there and kind of take it in a little bit and enjoy it. And then also having that off day the next day was really nice because I had 200 or 300 text messages, a ton of missed phone calls that I could sit down and kind of get back to everyone and thank everyone for the support and stuff like that. But I think that kind of helped alleviate any kind of stress or whatever with it. And then that weekend, my parents flew down to Florida and were able to watch those 3 games. And I was just able to have fun with it.
And I guess not that far from where Dad played pro ball too. I mean, when you think about the map, exactly. I mean, it's pretty much right down the street. So did you do rookie dress up twice? Did you dress up for that flight or no?
I think Toronto, even though it was the last road trip, technically, I think they had done it the road trip before. So I missed that one. But they got me back with that toast. So it came back to me in 2019.
Good, perfect. You mentioned something before. If you have a jersey, you have an opportunity. The Blue Jays jersey, I guess, in some sense, was taken away, but the Marlins then gave you a jersey for 2019, and you made the most of that opportunity. What was your mindset going into spring training last year about what this next chapter of your life, of your career, could then be?
Yeah, I was really excited with talking to the Marlins front office when I was trying to figure out on where I wanted to sign, and it just seemed like they had the most interest in me, and so that always makes you feel good going into a situation. And then obviously spring training for me was just to kind of get my name on the map with them, to really try to show the Marlins what I'm capable of, and being very versatile and running the base as well, and being able to hit with a little power and stuff like that was all kind of something that I wanted to put on display for them. And fortunately I had a good spring and kind of put my name on the map for them. They obviously I started the year in AAA, but I knew what I had done as long as I went to AAA and just continued to work, that I was hopeful that I would get a call early in the year. And I think it was April 20th of last year I made my debut with the Marlins. So one of the better decisions I've ever made was signing with Miami. So
we're happy to have you from our end for sure. So this is a game that, Geff, I know you probably remember, was Wrigley Field last year. John, I think you'll remember it too.
I got to give you credit for that homer, huh?
You will, yes. Go ahead. Why? I remember this. We were
hitting BP that day. We were hitting BP, and it was cold. And you just gave me some advice. You said, if I got any advice for you, it's really cold.
That's right. That's right.
It prepared me for how cold it was going to be. And then I went out that night and hit my first big league homer, which is something I definitely will never forget, rounding the bases in Wrigley, and to be able to hit it off someone like Cole Hamels, and to do it in a situation where it was a big hit for the team too was awesome. And for the fan to throw it back too, and to get the ball without any hassle was pretty cool too. So
the home run tied the game. Marlins went on to win 6-5.
Yes,
now, you may not remember this, but I talked to you during BP before the game that night as well, And I talked to you about how excited you had to be going back to Detroit on the next road trip, your
Oh,
hometown.
yeah.
You're going to finally get a chance to play in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike Paul, who blessed you with his knee, a few days later you got an oblique strain. You're on the injured list. And Paul and I were in Detroit, but you were nowhere to be found, unfortunately.
I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't bring that up.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. That was super disappointing, obviously, too. But, you know, it all works out. So I was able to luckily rest up and heal up and then kind of have a really good finish to the last few months. So
it took a while. I mean, you came back in the world, a little bit of a setback, and you were out an extended period of time. But, boy, you certainly did make up for lost time. The second half of the year, you had some opportunity to play on a regular basis. You played shortstop for a while when Miggy was out. You were in center field for a while. You let off the last couple of months of the season, and you really gave Michael Hill and this organization something to think about looking to the future.
Yeah, I mean, especially finally for the first time in my pro ball career, I got an opportunity to play somewhat of a regular shortstop, which I grew up a shortstop my entire life. That's one of my favorite positions to play. But for whatever reason, the Blue Jays saw me as a second baseman for the longest time. And then later in my Blue Jay career, they started to develop me into more of a utility guy, but not allowing me to play short as much still. But I'm thankful, you know, that I had started that versatility while I was with them. But I always felt like in the back of my mind, I had the confidence that I could play shortstop at the big league level. But until you get an opportunity to do so, and until you can't prove yourself right or wrong. So it was very unfortunate, obviously, to lose Miggy, you know, one of our team leaders and one of our best players, and that was super unfortunate. But obviously, I got an opportunity to play short and took advantage of it.
And you also got an opportunity to play some outfield, too. I don't know exactly how much you played throughout your career, but I guess from what you're saying, you're not necessarily a natural outfielder, but you certainly picked it up at the big league level pretty quickly. What kind of extra work were you putting in? Was it Freddie Gonzalez? Was it Curtis Granderson? What conversations, what helped?
Both of them were two of the main guys. Talking to Grandy during BP was huge. Just to be able to ask him different questions, you know, whether it was something as simple as, you know, I'm playing center field against the Mets at Citi Field for the first time in my life, and kind of standing where I'm thinking straight up is for a righty, and kind of looking around and saying, you know, this feels a lot different than Marlins Park, obviously, because Marlins Park's a lot bigger, and kind of just, hey, Grandy, man, where would you play straight up with this guy? Where would you play with this guy? And kind of just walking me around the outfield, just getting me more comfortable, and then the more you do it, obviously, the more confident you get in things. So doing that along with during early work, a lot of times at home, pitchers will hit BP, and just to take some extra reps out there just to get used to going back on the baseball and getting used to taking your eye off the ball and trying to pick it up again in different situations is something that I wasn't used to, but got a lot more used to it and more comfortable and confident with it as the season went on.
So you played 6 different positions last year. You started games at 5 different positions. What is your daily prep like to make sure you're ready to play anywhere you might need to be on a given night?
So I think, you know, let's say I'm playing third base tonight. I'm going to get my first majority of my reps at third base, whether it's during early work or whether it's during maybe the first round of batting practice. And then if I'm playing third, most likely I'm going to go maybe shag a little bit in the outfield at either center field, left field, right, wherever I feel like maybe I haven't spent as much time. And then the next day, if I'm playing shortstop, okay, well, I'll get my ground balls at short, but I might, if I took fly balls in center, I might go to left, or kind of just do the best you can to jump around without also overtaxing yourself, because obviously the most important is game time. It's 7 o'clock, you know, and so if I'm running around to 8 different positions during BP or whatever, come 7 o'clock, I'm, you know, going to be gassed. So it's just throughout the season, just being aware of how you feel at each spot, and if you need any extra work, to be smart about your extra work where you're not killing yourself doing it. So that's kind of how my approach has been, and it's worked out well so far.
How many different gloves do you carry around?
Actually, not as many as you would think. Gamers, I only have 2 gamers. I have an infield and an outfield. That's it, because I tried to use a bigger glove at third base a few years ago, and I just didn't like it that much. I'm very comfortable with it's an 11.5-inch infield glove, and feel comfortable at short and second with it, and I felt really comfortable at third base with it as well. And then just the one outfield glove. But I have a handful of other ones that I am breaking in at the moment, but it takes me a long time to break in a new glove and feel comfortable with it. So
it is amazing that that connection, I guess, the romance of it all, of a baseball player and his glove. I mean, you guys rely on those things like crazy, and I remember like Martin Prado's glove looked like it had been through the mill, but my goodness, but I mean that thing would take a bullet for him.
Exactly. So we had such a great group last year of veterans too that helped along the way, as you mentioned, Prado and Grandy and Neil Walker and guys that Starlin Castro, who helped with a lot of little things that made my transition from the minor leagues to the big leagues a lot easier than I even expected. So
what surprised you the most? You finally get a chance to be in the big leagues and to be a big leaguer for an extended period of time. Anything surprise you? Anything different than how you always envisioned it being all those years in the minor leagues trying to get there?
I mean, obviously it's the best talent in the world, and that's so awesome when you can take the field and you're playing with and against the best players in the world. But once you kind of get over that of thinking, man, these guys are really good, and just realize that it's baseball. You've been playing this game forever, and so you know how to play it. You know how to play it well, and once you kind of get over that, it almost surprised me how natural it felt to be out there playing, because you're just playing another baseball game, and we've been doing it since we were little kids. So I think that was a little surprising.
You had
at age 29, your ninth professional season, you're an overnight success. You come up here, and here he is. He's an overnight success.
Yeah, they didn't see the 29 years of a grind before that to get there, but that's fine.
Well, I had run across this one, that you were the fourth rookie since 1900. I mean, we're talking well over 100 years here, with 50 or more runs scored in 73 games or less. I mean, if that's the thing about 2019 and then into the following season and what you're trying to do in terms, especially on a team that had lost 100 games, what you're trying to do to prove that you still belong, that you're still a part of what this team can be. I mean, between that, you had a 4 stolen base game against the Mets in September as well. I mean, you can impact the game in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, the name of the game is to score runs, so whether you're the one scoring or whether you're the one driving them in, that's how a team needs to be built, obviously. So my thought process has always been with my speed, obviously with guys in scoring position or whatever, I would obviously love to drive them in, but my thought process has always been to work and at bat, get on base any way you can, and then use your abilities on the base pass to help score runs. And that's the thing that I learned as kind of a younger player is, you don't steal bases to steal bases, you steal bases to score runs. So just because in certain situations I might not steal a base doesn't mean that I can't do other things to also help score runs, whether it's go first to third, whether it's a dirt ball read, whether it's going first to home on a ball that maybe a lot of guys wouldn't be able to. I'm doing what I can to help the team score runs and using my best assets in order to do so.
I remember at one point last year talking with Don Mattingly about the many different ways you were able to help this team. And he made the point that when somebody spends as much time in the minor leagues as Jon Berti did, you really learn how to play the game, and you learn how to run the bases, and you learn to throw to the right base and to be alert at all times. And he's, some guys who rush through the minor leagues jump because of their bat, and they get to the big leagues, they don't know how to play the game as well. Do you feel like all that time in the minor leagues really helped in that regard, and that you really were prepared when you got here?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would have loved to be a 24-year-old big leaguer, but maybe I would have been 24 years old in the big leagues and not performed well early on, and maybe I wouldn't have gotten much of a chance later in my career. I don't know, So I try to look at it in a positive way and say, I spent all that time there for a reason, and I was able to take advantage of it and get a lot better in a lot of areas in my game, and it helped prepare me to be where I'm at now. So absolutely.
As broadcasters, we're around the club a lot. I mean, we're not in the clubhouse for 10 hours before and after the games, but we do pop our heads into the clubhouse. We hang out around the cage. We're on the planes together. And I think if someone were looking at just the end of the season and say, boy, that team lost 105 games, it must have been lousy and everybody must have been miserable. you don't have to air any dirty laundry. I'm not asking you to do that, but I never saw any of that. I never saw a down group. I mean, nobody ever seemed to be in a bad mood. And I'll post a comment of someone who's watching the game. Nice guy to talk to, talking about you. His career and his journey are so much fun to talk about. One of my favorite teammates, that's Miguel Rojas, who is without question like the yeah, hey Miggy, the heartbeat of the club. There's no doubt. But I mean, for you guys to have lost 105 games, which cannot be easy, and still be upbeat every day. It was my second year, so between it was 98 and 105 losses. So neither season was great wins and losses wise, but I would make the case from where I sat and what I saw that 2019 was actually better than the year before, despite 7 more losses. You talk about the camaraderie that you guys have inside that clubhouse and what they're building with the big leaguers and the minor leaguers too. We hear it all the time. The culture in Miami and with this organization is changing.
Absolutely, and yeah, I didn't know necessarily what to expect, and trust me, obviously losing is no fun, but we had the mentality of putting the previous day behind us and working hard that day, and every day we came to the ballpark, we had a belief that we were going to win, and that's the mindset that we're continuing to develop, is that we can, as individuals and as a group, change that mentality into a winning mindset, and by putting the past behind us and being able to work as hard as we can each day, because we talked about it all year. Every day you come to the ballpark, you have a chance to win. So why not focus on that aspect of it and not focus on what may have happened the day before or the weeks before? And so that's the mindset we're taking, and that's the mindset we started to continue to roll with here in spring training this past March. And that's kind of the mindset we're going to continue to work with, is every day we come to the ballpark, we want to win. We're going to win. So I think that's kind of how we were able to keep upbeat about things, is because we were looking forward and not back.
Hey, Jon, if a 28 or 29-year-old minor leaguer walks up to you and says, hey, I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels, I'm doing my thing year after year, not getting the opportunity, I'm thinking about walking away, what do you say to that player?
If you really love it and it's something you really want, you're going to continue to work and figure out what areas you need to get better at, and also know what strengths you have to get better at those as well, to help make you stand out a little bit. So obviously there's extenuating circumstances where, if you get later in your 20s and, in the minor leagues, you're not making a lot of money and it can be tough. But if you still have that drive and that desire to do it, then I urge you to keep going.
It's absolutely terrific. I love talking to you, whether it's around the cage or in this forum right here. I mean, your perspective on the game is it is truly inspiring. It's great. You've got these two parts down, and toward the end of our conversations, we always play a little hit and run. So there's some quick hitting questions, and then we let you run. You definitely have the run part down, and that's my first question. Who wins a foot race between you, Magneuris Sierra, and Isaac Galloway?
Oof. I would love to say me, but I think Maggie might edge me out by a hair, and we're talking 90 feet, right?
Sure. Yeah.
90 feet. I mean, yeah. And I think I would edge out Ike by a hair as well.
Okay.
But he surprised me with how fast he was.
Yeah.
Isaac Galloway, one of my favorite teammates I had last year too. So, yeah, I mean, he surprised me how well he can move, but I think I got him by a little bit, but Maggie might have me by a little bit.
Isaac Galloway, another guy who put in a lot of years in this organization and finally got a chance 2 years ago in the big leagues.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our friends at Marlins UK, they side with Magneuris Sierra as well. So, all right. This is why I asked you about the Pistons before. Growing up in Michigan, if you're a Pistons fan, how are you handling The Last Dance? The show with Michael Jordan.
Yeah. So I was just born when the Bad Boys were kind of in their prime. Looking back and watching the 30 for 30 on them, there's some different documentaries I've seen on the Bad Boys, and I loved it because they played hard, they played aggressive, and they played to win. Now them leaving the court with 7 seconds left, don't necessarily agree with that, and I can see how that can rub a lot of people the wrong way. But other than that, I mean, the way basketball was played back then, it wasn't like they were getting guys ejected or suspended every game. They were racking up fouls, but again, if obviously they couldn't get away with that today, but it was just how the game was played. And I've heard MJ talk too before in an interview saying that without the Pistons beating him up the way he did, he might not have turned into the player he was, because he knew he had to get stronger and to be able to handle the punishment. And then, you know, it worked out well for him. So I still look back at those days with pride.
Right. What is your favorite road ballpark and then city? So like a two-part question.
So I love playing at Wrigley. Obviously, just hitting my first home run there, all the history there, and I have some friends that live in Chicago, so I enjoy the city. Atlanta was a lot of fun to play at. I guess you're looking for one. I would say Wrigley so far.
Okay.
I'd say Wrigley.
And favorite city? Do you have a favorite city that you visited so far? Seeing as you got hosed out of Detroit, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
My fault.
Right. Good question. I'll go with Chicago again for now.
Okay.
I also missed the San Diego and LA trip, which I was looking forward to this year. We'll see, kind of how the schedule works out. But yeah, I'll go Chicago.
You want more hard-hitting analysis, John, from me?
Yeah.
LA and San Diego don't suck. All right. Number 4. How do you spend the perfect mid-season off day?
Mid-season off day?
Yeah.
Doing absolutely nothing. I love my off day for the most part. Obviously, if I'm in Miami, maybe go to the beach a little bit or get some sun. But to be honest, mid-season, I'm kind of sick of the sun a little bit, of being outside so much. So go to a nice dinner and just relax, just really catch up on my rest and prepare myself for the next, till we get another off day.
Right,
but
20-something days
it's
from now.
surprising, where I know a lot of guys do a lot of things sometimes, or they have families where they won't hang out with their kids or whatever. But for me, I just want to relax.
All right, and last one. Who's the most famous broadcaster that you have ever been mistaken for?
You. Yeah, that was in San Francisco.
That's right.
They thought Austin Dean was me. They thought I was you, and did they think you were Austin Dean?
I think they thought that I was you, and then they saw you and thought it was Austin Dean, and they saw Austin Dean and thought whatever it was. It was the same fan that got the three of us mixed up.
Yep.
And you're not dealing with this problem.
Dudes, though,
well,
we're a bunch of good-looking dudes, so we're good.
I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you did. But all right, excellent, John. This was
on that note.
Yeah, this was terrific. This was great. A wonderful story, and thanks so much for sharing it with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun.
All
Hopefully we get back out there sooner than later.
Yes.
Hopefully everyone stays safe and healthy.
Yeah. I can't wait until I'm mistaken for you at a ballpark by a fan near the cage again. And there's a lot of layers to that whole thing.
Can't wait. We'll
thanks a lot, John. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, Jon Berti, thanks so much. Geff, again, that's a great story. I love talking to him around the cage and hearing everything that he's got to offer. It's a lot of fun.
It's great. Anytime you see somebody get that opportunity for the first time, what's even better is when they take advantage of the opportunity, the way Jon Berti did last year. We said it a lot late in the season in 2019. Jon Berti has given the Marlins a lot to think about by the way he's played as an everyday player for a good chunk of the second half of the season last year, especially August and September. Whether he was a shortstop or in center field, he led off a good chunk of the year. He was productive offensively and defensively. He was a spark to the offense. And one way or another, he's going to play a big role on this team in 2020 as soon as we get going here, or 2021, looking to the future. It's a good ball player, great story, and happy to see him take advantage of the opportunity he got last year.
Right. One thing that we certainly do know is that he'll be playing in the United States. He won't be playing in Korea. That gets us back to our question of the day. Do you have the updated numbers on our question of the day?
Yeah, we've added some votes, but the percentages haven't changed a whole lot. Are you going to stay up till the wee hours and watch baseball from Korea moving forward? 43% of you say thanks, but no thanks. I might check it out, 41%. I'll be there a lot, 16%. So a little bit less than 1 in 5 are going to be at least setting the DVRs and waking up and watching it the next morning. I'll check it out if I'm up, if it's on, but I don't think I'll be going out of my way.
Right. I'm kind of the same way. I almost feel like for as baseball hungry as I am, I'm not going to get too invested in it.
Well, I've
It's a lot
enjoyed
of
some of
time.
the old games on the MLB network.
Right.
I've enjoyed even watching some old college baseball games on the SEC network, the ACC network, the Big Ten network. But Korean baseball, where you only know one or two players on the field at 1 in the morning or 4 in the morning.
It's hard to put it all into context.
Yeah,
for me.
It's a little different for me.
But anyway,
To
all
each
right,
his own.
to each his own. That's right. And if you want to watch, that's great. That's great. Again, a reminder that there are now rewards for watching our programs, whether they be live on Twitter and Periscope or on YouTube, or just going to our YouTube channel and watching the archives. You can now earn Marlins home run rewards points by tuning in to Sev Geff Live. The code is 2020. Visit marlins.com/rewards to sign up and get yourself rewarded. That was, again, Geff, that was a really fun chat with Jon Berti, a great story to tell. And again, our thanks to him for spending some time with us.
Another great show in the books. We'll do it again soon.
That's right. Again, check us out on our YouTube channel, Twitter, at Sev Geff Live, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate the time, ladies and gents. And again, thanks to Jon Berti. We will talk to you all next time.